Hello, and welcome to the interview on France 24. We are in Tripoli today, and we are with al-Baghdadi al-Mahmoudi, who is the head of the government in Tripoli. Welcome to France 24, sir.
Thank you.
The first question, what part of the government do you actually represent?
I don't represent anybody. We represent the Libyan state. As you know, in Libya, we have general congresses that make decisions and general committees that carry out the decisions. We also have the General Congress of the People, the People's General Congress, which represents all factions of the Libyan nation. Each regional congress sends a secretary to the General Council, and all the regional secretaries elect the People's General Congress that represents the cabinet.
There is one clear demand on the part of several Western nations, that is that Gaddafi should play no role whatsoever politically. Are you willing and ready to respond favorably to that requirement on the part of the international community and the National Transitional Council?
Unfortunately, the National Transitional Council, the NTC, has not studied very well the political origins of the Libyan regime, which is based on committees and congresses. Colonel Gaddafi, since 1977, has left power in the hands of the people. And the current role of Colonel Gaddafi is to act as a guide, as a sort of reference for the people. The colonel plays no executive role.
Is he willing to play no role whatsoever if there were negotiations between the factions in Libya?
The colonel is encouraging all Libyans to come together freely, away from the bombings, away from the aggression, to decide freely without any outside interference.
Has he confirmed that this is so?
Yes, not only once. In all his latest speeches, he has emphasized this. He has spoken to everybody, and he has said the same thing to a High Commission of the African Union.
There is an envoy from the UN, the former Jordanian minister Abdelilah Al-Khatib, and Jordan is part of the coalition, as you know, against Libya. How are you going to be working with this envoy, who is expecting a certain position, i.e. that Gaddafi will play no role in any future processes and negotiations?
Unfortunately, there are many special envoys today. The G8 had asked Russia to mediate peacefully in the Libyan affair, and the United Nations, or rather the Security Council of the United Nations, sent a special envoy, Mr. Abdelilah Al-Khatib, a few days ago. We discovered the existence of what is known as the Contact Group, which is an illegal body and which has asked the former Jordanian minister.
You're speaking about the Contact Group, right?
Yes, the Contact Group is illegal. This group has decided to make decisions on the Libyan affair. As you know, all actions in Libya were initiated by the Security Council under resolutions 1970 and 1973. The G8 asked Russia to send a special envoy, and this envoy has made speeches which have been badly interpreted, wrongly interpreted by the media, and this special envoy has said things that are very different from what we actually told him.
You're talking about the media. In fact, it was reported that you had declared to the Russian envoy that there is a plan to totally destroy Tripoli should the city be attacked by the UN. Is this true? Is there a problem of translation involved in this?
This is completely wrong. This is completely inaccurate. We have never talked about this subject. We have talked about finding solutions to the Libyan crisis. We cannot possibly imagine a ceasefire without negotiations. What has been said has been misinterpreted, and until now we haven't found the truth. The Special Envoy himself has denied these statements. So this is something which doesn't originate from us, but originates from him.
You are talking today about negotiations, direct negotiations between the NTC and Libya. They do refuse any type of consultation with you. What is it possible to do today? What are you suggesting in terms of negotiations to find a political solution?
Listen, the Libyans today are suffering from bombings, and they're not prepared to engage in a dialogue. The bombings must stop first. As President Zuma has said, stop bombings to protect the civilians.
The West has declared that bombings will stop only when Gaddafi agrees not to be part of the government.
If the West calls for the departure of Gaddafi, it's because the West doesn't understand the nature of the Libyan political regime. Colonel Gaddafi does not have executive power. Therefore, he cannot step down. We must prepare the ground, lay the groundwork for engaging in a dialogue. The Libyans are prepared and are capable of finding a solution to their problem. The Libyans have a political regime through which the solutions can be found to all their problems. What's happening today is outside international interference in decision-making in Libya.
You are speaking about your relationship with France, and you've said this more than once. However, we hear another line from Gaddafi himself. What is the clear political position today? How do you assess today your relationship with France? What do you expect from France?
We used to have relations with France based on economic exchanges. Everybody remembers President Sarkozy's visit to Libya and Colonel Gaddafi's visit to France. And many agreements have been honored, and the volume of trade is estimated at $40 billion. 60 to 70% of all contracts signed have been honored. Today, we want to have cordial relations with France, and we are very worried about having a friendly relationship, a cordial relationship between the two countries.
Is there any contact? Are there any communications channels open? And what type of contacts are there?
Libya recently sent and received several envoys. Libya sent envoys to France to meet French leaders. We want France to negotiate with Libya in order to eliminate the tensions that exist in our relations between our two countries. As far as France is concerned, and what's happening today is not in the interests of France in this part of the Mediterranean world. We're very concerned to turn a page, to open a new chapter, and to start a new negotiation. And we have recently observed at the meeting of the contact group in Turkey, we observed that France has distanced itself from the Libyan crisis, and we want France to continue negotiating and talking to us.
What type of negotiations do you wish to enter into with the National Transition Council? Do you have contact? Are the communication open?
Well, first of all, let's talk about the National Transitional Council, which is what the so-called National Transitional Council. The NTC represents self-proclaimed members in the name of the Libyan people.
But the council has been recognized by several countries.
Of course, these are people who were supported by NATO tanks, and it is for Libya to decide. We want to engage in a dialogue with the international community to explain the situation. All politicians must meet around a table freely, but far from the bombings which continue night and day.
Are you ready and willing to discuss under conditions?
Of course, because we want everybody to meet, not only the NTC, but all components of Libyan society.
Without Gaddafi.
Gaddafi, in fact, symbolizes the Libyan state. He is the guide of the Libyan revolution. He himself is encouraging the search for a solution.
Mr. Mahmoudi Baghdadi, Prime Minister in Libya, thank you very much for being with us. Thank you, and stay with us on France 24.